Check 1 2 1 2. How you doing? This is Mr. Taper once again on Mr. Taper's Barber Life. Everything about barbershop culture we discuss. We are on our fourth season. That's pretty good because a lot of barbershops quit, stop going, stop doing their thing. But we've been doing our thing, so we're gonna keep rolling. But today, uh, I want to talk about why barbers are leaving their shops for suites. I'm gonna get to that, but first, I gotta shout out Faded Culture. Faded Culture are two brothers who have created a empire, and I remember when they were small. First, what they do is they teach barbers how to cut hair. They started out with just tutorials and they really built a strong following. They have over 1 million followers and they just started out doing haircut tutorials. Now they were unlike the average barber you see doing haircut tutorials. I'm watching one right now. They uh they are really good. Really, really good, and shout out to Faded Culture. Um, they're I think they are represented by Walls. I think Wall sponsors them. They have to because they use Wall everything. But and most of their clients are Latino. Watching them fade is uh is a treat if you are a barber. they they use a very soft technique, um, and their favorite clipper is the Wall Senior. And watching them once again, just like with Larry's Barber Club, they make you want to switch to the clipper they're using because it's so good. They're so good with it. Barbers like that can make any clipper, uh, you know, can make any clipper good, cut good. but I really like their blends, man. Faded Culture has some of the hottest blends on YouTube. Um, yeah, as they say, blurry. Their blends are definitely blurry, and I think, um, unlike unlike Larry's Barber Club, who uses metal on metal, okay, he uses the masters, no guard, and he uses detachables. They use the Wall Senior with guards. And the way they get their cuts blurry, they have a very soft, very they just don't press that hard. And by not pressing really hard when you're making that line of demarcation or you're getting that line of demarcation out, it makes a big difference. So, if you get a chance, I'm gonna leave the link in the bio in the comments. Check out Faded Culture if you haven't already checked them out, because those brothers are really, really dope, really dope. But today we're gonna talk about why barbers are leaving great barbershops for suites. Um, I've had 5 barbers leave my shop for suites. Um, First one was Greg, then Sharice, then G, then Rob, and then Bird. Now, I can mention their names because I'm still cool with all of them. I have no hard feelings. It wasn't like that at first, but I have no hard feelings. Um, Greg was the first, and he left to open his own shop. And shout out to him. And he told me years later, he was like, well, man, he's like, wow, I didn't know owning a shop was going to be this hard. And I was like, yeah, man, it's a challenge, but shout out to him. He's doing his thing in Locust Grove. And then there was Sharice, another good barber. She left to go to a suite about 25 minutes away. So she's doing good out there. One of those real luxurious suites. Yeah, one of those real fancy suites. And um, the thing about my shop, we've been around for 12 years and still no excuse, but we need some renovations. Okay. It looks like a very homey, homegrown type of shop, old school type of shop, but it's some quality barbers in there. And not only that, we get, I'm not trying to brag, but we get plenty of walk-ins. So if you're looking for a shop where you can get good walk-ins, and the barbers in there are good guys, check us out. Dre and Craig's VIP Cuts. That's my commercial for today. But yeah. And what? Oh, yeah. Sharice left. She got a more luxurious location. That was good. After her, I think G. Yeah, G left because he got a situation where he got a suite. Um, it was like 700 a month. So, he got a suite where him and his wife could do their business together. So that was cool. And all of these barbers I still talk to this day. There's no hard feelings. Um, let's see. Oh, and Rob left, and I knew Rob was gonna leave way before he even knew he was gonna leave. But he wanted to do a barber shop in his house, you know. So he left, and the last one to leave was Bird. Now Bird left. He was doing great. He he really was doing great, but in his mind, he wanted an improvement, and in his mind, he felt like a suite would be an improvement. Now, I say in his mind because it's just what he thinks. He feels like, hey, a suite is better for me, and I'm like, hey, if you think so, go try it out or go do it. But anyway, these five barbers, they all left. And I really started thinking, I was like, is it me, first of all? Is it my way of leading? And I don't think it is because I'm, I'm cool with all of them to this day. But I just wondered, okay, the way social media promotes these suites, it's like, you gotta get one. And I never thought that. I mean, I thought that a suite would just be for, a extroverted barber. I'm sorry, introverted barber. He's good, but he doesn't like to be around a lot of people. But it's for anybody. Well, let me just say they promote it for any type of barber, but it is not for everybody because you will find if you don't have a full schedule or almost full schedule of loyal, and I mean loyal clients that will follow you anywhere. If you don't have a full schedule of them, you're gonna have a problem keeping you know keeping those numbers that they were like they were. And the reason why I say that is because when you move to a suite, depending on where it is, meaning it could be 5 miles away, it could be 2 miles away, it could be 20 miles away. Depending on where it is, it's going to determine whether you keep a lot of those clients. Okay, if you're at 100%, you're 100% full, you can't take any more clients, you're gonna lose at least 10% because they were uh satisfied with your they liked your cuts, but they were satisfied with your location. They really liked the location. It was conducive to where they live. It was easy for them to come in the shop after work. The location was just really good to these clients. So you're gonna lose 10%. But that's why I said, for you to go to a suite, you should be at least 85, 90% or 100% full, because you're gonna lose some clients. And it isn't always about the money. Some of these suites are more expensive than what they would pay in booth rent. But I understand when a barber, and not necessarily at my shop, but I understand when a barber um feels overcrowded, he doesn't like the energy, he or she doesn't like the energy in a shop. You know, he may or she may be a great barber, and they're getting this hate, this quiet hate, and leading to tension. All of that. That's stuff you don't want to have to deal with as a barber. And if you're getting that, I recommend you go to a suite. You know what I mean? But because I am a barber shop, I would say go to another shop first. Give that shop a try, because I have no problem with suites. I think they are a uh necessary thing for barbers. Some barbers are suite barbers, some barbers are barbershop barbers, some barbers are mobile barbers. We all have our niche that we in. So I have no problem with the suites, because some barbers need to go to a suite. But that's why I say it's not always about the money. A lot of barbers, they want control. They need to have control and business, not just higher income. You know, they want that control, and a suite will definitely give you that control. And some of the things that they look for in a suite, there no shop rules. You set your own hours for when the suite is open, even though you could do the same thing. But the shop, um, you choose your own music, products, and general atmosphere. So, owning a suite, you're gonna you're gonna play the music you want to play. You know what I mean? Sell the products that you want to sell, and the general atmosphere. If it is a bad atmosphere, it will be a lot better. But I'm going to ask you the question, is that freedom worth the trade-off? Well, if you are the type of barber coming from a negative environment, you will say yes. You know what I mean? So that answers that question. But if you're coming from a good shop, good quality shop, you ask yourself, you got to ask yourself, is the freedom worth the trade-off? You know what I mean? Because there are many hidden things that they don't tell you about running a suite. And I don't want this to sound like a sweet hate, because I like them. They're a necessary part of the barber industry. But some of the hidden costs of running a suite are weekly rent, just like booth rent, except it's going to be a little higher. It's going to be a little higher, usually. And so you got your weekly rent, got your utilities, and the internet you got to pay for. You're not used to that. You're not used to paying for that electric bill or that internet. Well, now you got to pay for it. Booking software, you're going to pay that anyway. Business insurance, you got to insure these suites. You know, a flood or fire happens in the suite. What you going to do? You know, so you got business insurance, cleaning supplies, got to buy that on a regular basis. Credit card processing, you're going to do that anyway. Uh, Marketing expenses, hopefully. And I recommend you to definitely do a bigger marketing job than you were at a barbershop, because, you know, this business is you. This is all you. So you need to market a lot harder than you would if you were just a barber in a shop. So those expenses as well. So those are some things you got to think about when you go to a suite. So I still want to know, why are barbers leaving great barbershops for suites? Great is a little pretentious. I'll say, why are barbers leaving good barbershops for suites? Um, what happens when your clients stop coming? You know, normally you may have, say, 60 heads a week. And all of a sudden you went from 60 to 35. Well, what do you do? In a busy shop, walk-ins can help fill the gaps. In a suite, every empty hour comes directly out of your pocket. So you can't, like a good shop, you can't just sit in the shop and wait, just sitting and waiting and sitting and waiting. You have to do some serious marketing. And unlike a barbershop, you know that, okay, it's slow right before back to school, so I know it's going to pick up. You don't know the trends. You know the trends, but you don't know if they will work. Uh, the slow period you get after Christmas, the super busy period you get during that week before Christmas. These are all trends in the barber industry. Easter, even though it's not as busy as it used to be, and that's something we can talk about too. Easter used to be pretty much neck and neck with back to school in terms of money making time for a barber. But after the pandemic, uh, a lot of pastors started doing their services online. And, you know, I mean, before the pandemic, And after the pandemic, they continue to do their services online. So I said that to say you got more people staying at home, meaning less haircuts because they don't have to go outside as much as they used to. For example, they don't have to go to church. They can watch the church online. So, it prevents them from getting their hair cut where they would do it every 2 weeks. Now they might do it every 6 weeks, because they're like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to church. So, boom. So, you know, you gotta think about that. You gotta think about that. So, um, now the value of being on a team. I told you, and this is crazy, but this sounds like an anti-sweet podcast, but it's really not. But the value of being on a team, you get mentorship. Hopefully there's an older barber in the shop who has knowledge and they're willing to help share that knowledge, help you with the everyday life of being a barber. They might not pull you aside and say, "Hey, let me tell you about this," but you just being around them, you pick up on things that they do that you say, well, "Okay, that's a good idea. I'm gonna start doing that." Like for example, there used to be a barber I used to work with. He wasn't the best barber, but he was the hardest working barber. That was my man George. George brought his brown paper bag to work every day, literally with his lunch in it, and he was always there early before the shop opened and at the end of the day. He was there every single day, never missed a day. And his consistency helped him build his clientele to like crazy numbers. He was making crazy numbers. He ended up buying the shop that he used to work in. But he was a real hardworking barber, and he showed a lot of consistency. You know, so you miss that mentorship when you go to a suite. Referrals between barbers. A lot of times you get, in good quality shops, your coworker will give you a client. If he's too busy and you're in a rush, your coworker say, "Hey, can you can you cut my boy right here?" And they don't mind giving you that client. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you may have some friendly competition with that barber. You know, both of y'all are trying to build. You see him cutting 2, 3 heads. You're like, okay, I got to get my numbers up. I'm not cutting right now. I got to get my numbers up. Friendly, good competition, not beef or anything like that. And the camaraderie you form with working in a barbershop, that's obviously good. You know what I mean? Working as a team, that says something, you know. So you miss out on that too. And believe it or not, learning from each other. When you got a bunch of really good barbers working in the same shop, you're going to learn something. There's going to be something that you haven't tried that you're going to try when you're, in the shop. You know what I mean? So, are we as shop owners doing enough to keep good barbers? Do we have good communication? You know, do we recognize and appreciate them? I had two barbers. They've been there 10 years. Hopefully they won't see this, but I'm going to give them a special award for hanging in there with me all these years. But yeah, you know, recognition and appreciation, that goes a long way. I have told them that I appreciate them. Um, continuing education. Do I, as a shop owner, have little tutorials? You know, I notice certain barbers, everybody in my shop can do white hair, but certain barbers can do it better than others. You know, doing a tutorial on straight hair, that'd be good for the shop. Um, Clear opportunity for growth. Um, does your shop offer the clear opportunity for growth? Can they become managers? Even though my shop, speaking, we don't really have managers because we got two shop owners, but maybe your shop does. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, make sure if you have clear opportunity for growth. Flexible schedules where possible. You know, um, and that goes either with a suite or a barbershop. You should be able to come when you want, but it's good to know you don't have to answer to anybody about that flexible schedule. Uh, Social media has really made suites look attractive, and they can be. They can be. Um, Instagram makes suites look freaking glamorous. You know what I mean? But the question is, are people showing their profits, or are they showing just their lifestyle? You know, and think about who should actually open a suite. Well, barbers with a loyal client base, barbers who have strong business skills, consistent rebooking, meaning your schedule is already full, emergency savings, you got to have that, and a marketing plan, which will help you put all of this together. You know, so you need to think about those things before you transition to a suite. But can traditional barbers evolve? You know, is your shop offer profit sharing or performance incentives? If you're a shop which is um commission, maybe it offers profit sharing, meaning if y'all hit certain numbers, you get a bonus. That would be a good profit sharing incentive. You want to create a workplace that barbers don't want to leave. You know what I mean? They should feel as comfortable in your shop as if they had their own personal man cave. But the bigger question, what's best for the industry? Suites, barbershops, or mobile barbers? Are suites helping barbershop? Are they helping barbering grow? Um, I think that's a hard one, but I think suites are going to continue to grow, but I think the fever that it is growing, like it's really growing at a high level right now, that it's going to taper somewhat because people are going to see, because there are a lot of barbers going to suites. You got barbers talking about going to a suite straight out of barber school. That's insane. That's truly insane. So I think it's going to temper a little bit. Um, what's best for the industry is a strictly all barbershop situation great for the industry? No. Suites are very necessary. There are certain barbers that work great and enjoy suites. It's great for their business. But I think a barber is healthy for a barber to have a choice. And you could be mobile barber, sweet barber, or barbershop barber. It's good to have a choice. Are the suites hurting the barbershops? I would say right now, I would say they are hurting the growth of certain barbershops in certain areas. But if you are consistently marketing your barbershop, and obviously if you're in a good area, you should not have any problem. You might lose some of your barbers, but you should not have any problem keeping barbers. Um, can both business models thrive together? Of course they can. I don't think there'll ever be a time where everybody will go to suites. Um, the barbershop is a necessary part of the community. You know, guys go there to unwind. You can unwind in a suite, but it's a social gathering, which draws a lot of people to barbershops. Okay. And in 5 to 10 years, what will the barber industry look like? I think, for example, say we have 100 suites in the state. I would say we probably will have about 65, 70 suites. Like I said, I really think it's going to taper somewhat, but it's still unnecessary, and it is still going to be a necessary part of the barber industry. So, what I want, um, the question I want to pose to everybody is: would you rather own a suite or work in a good barbershop, and why? You know what I mean? And answer that question for me. Put it in the comments, and I'm interested to see what you say. All right. Shout out to everybody that's been following us, and the next big show. The next big show is going to be BarberCon, I believe, in Dallas, Texas. No, the it's going to be the LI Barber Expo. I think that's in the third week in August. But either way, check out one of those shows: the New Jersey Barber Expo, the LI Barber Expo, and BarberCon in Dallas. 3 good quality shows, and every barber should go to at least one show a year. What is it makes no sense that you've been a barber for 20 years and you've never been to a barber show. That's just crazy to me. But every barber should go to at least one barber show per year, because as a barber you want to keep up with the trends. You may not necessarily do them, but you got to keep up. You know, the whole big natural versus enhancement battle. You may not like enhancements, but if your client consistently asks for it, you got to know how to do it. You know, you could be oh, I don't do enhancements. So somebody comes in your shop, asks for enhancements, and you're going to say, no, I don't do enhancements. You're going to let that money go? Nah, man. So you got to keep up with the trends. Not saying you got to do all of them, but you got to know about these trends. And going to a barber show is a good way, looking at these competitions, looking at the products being sold by the vendors. All of that together is a good way. Going to the classes. A lot of these shows have great classes, great informative classes, barber themed classes, and you should know about these classes because you are definitely gonna learn something. I don't care how long you've been a barber, you're gonna learn something that, most of these classes. So check that out. So every barber, make it your goal to go to at least one barber show per year. All right. So this is Mr. Taper, and we out. And check us out. Taper's Barber Academy, only barber school, Morrow, Georgia, South Lake Mall. It's going good. TapersBarberAcademy.com. We out.